Central Michigan, Michigan State. We've got the Spartans, 14.5 point home favorites, 47 the total in this game. I think both of these teams are going to have pretty tough seasons, pretty rough seasons. And this is not really a ringing endorsement of Central Michigan, but just like the last game, I did take a small piece of the Chippewas here at 14.5. I don't know how good they're going to be. And Daniel Richardson, of course, is gone. Pretty good quarterback. So Jim McElwain's been forced to look in another direction at the quarterback spot. Last I looked, it was going to be Jace Bauer and Bert Emanuel battling it out for that starting quarterback spot for the Chippewas. But you look at this team, there's definitely some growing pains that they're going to go through this season. I actually think they're probably a bottom tier, bottom third of the MAC team this year. I know it was a rough season last year, but I just don't know how much of an improvement they're going to make with some question marks they have with the quarterback spot with Emmanuel and Bauer. Obviously, the receiving core is not bad. When I look at the team, though, in terms of the offensive line and how good it's going to be, the one thing they do have is they have 4 linemen with starting experience, which is going to help them for sure. So again, they allowed 31 sacks last year. That's just not really good, but you got to think with the experience that's returning, they got to be at least a little bit better. The defense was shredded last year. We know it wasn't really all that great. But when you look at it too, a lot of those players, with a little more experience, hopefully that helps them coming back. So they were a very young defense last year, but a lot of those players now, another year of experience should help. To me, this is just not so much, I really want to bet on Central Michigan. I really want to bet against Michigan State. I mean, they lose Peyton Thorne. We know it was a tough year. Things are going after a great first season for Mel Tucker, as the head coach of Michigan State. It's been a steady decline ever since then. And the way I'm starting to think about this tenure here for Tucker is that he benefited from that COVID season, which just threw everything out of whack. That's when Michigan State played well. And since then, they've played worse and worse and worse, this program. And now they lose Peyton Thorne. He transfers to Auburn. So it's going to be a brand new quarterback here at the controls for Michigan State. Defense was absolutely ripped apart. We talk about how Central Michigan's defense last year wasn't great. Neither was Michigan State's, and there's some major question marks for them on that side of the ball. They've had some great running backs the last few years. Remember Kenneth Walker a couple of years ago. So there's some turnover there at the running back spot. The O-line is a work in progress, in my opinion. Like I said, the defense was just not good last year. And sort of in-state little brother, big brother rivalry type game. These, like I say, maybe Michigan State, this is a game where Central Michigan's just so inferior athletically, speed, personnel, recruit, that Michigan State's still able to overwhelm them. But I'm going to dare them to, because I really don't think much of this Spartans team. And I know Central Michigan, if nothing else, they're going to be amped up to play the bigger brother in-state team. So not a ringing endorsement, but I did grab a 14.5 here, plus the points with the Chippewas. What do you think here, Conor? Central Michigan, Michigan State.
Yeah, one thing, Central Michigan, when you have these the little brother in Michigan they play up sometimes, and some of these they get up for them. One thing Central Michigan you talked about, and with Bauer, they're not going to be able to throw it well. All the sacks that he had. One thing you mentioned that I wanted to get to was that offensive line is back, and they were very good. 160 yards, led the MAC. They have to just pound the football here. And because on the flip side, Michigan State's defense, what do we get from them? They had 27 guys start the defense. Just with all the injuries and suspensions, they're just, I don't know what their defense is really going to look like this year. So we'll see. Will the talent just prevail? Maybe. I think it's too many points and 2 touchdowns in this one. And I don't know what we get from Noah Kemp. This guy's thrown 19 times in the last 3 years, basically 2-3 years.
Yep.
I mean, maybe he's playing here, Central Michigan. It'll make him look good in this first game. But I wanted nothing to do with this one.
Noah Kim, by the way, who's going to probably start at quarterback for Michigan State here, is a very athletic guy. Can run with the football. Definitely more of that from him you'll see probably than what we saw with Peyton Thorne. But no question, the question is going to be the arm talent a little bit, but certainly going to be able to run. And the question is, will that be enough for Michigan State at the quarterback spot after losing a guy, obviously, that was pretty solid for them in Peyton Thorne.